Well, today's hearing is the latest legal chapter in the high-profile case of former UC officer Ray Tenzing. Criminal defense attorney Hal Arenstein is joining us in this process to help us better understand what's happening in court, which is probably going to be complicated. And to use a baseball analogy, the defense got 2 strikes today. How's that going to impact their case?
I think what they were hoping to do was to present some background information about Mr. DuBose, such that would suggest that he was of a criminal nature, and because of that, Officer Tenzing had to act in the fashion in which he did. It's very similar to a self-defense case. If you're aware that the individual is dangerous, you can bring that evidence out. But in these circumstances, the officer had no knowledge of the background of DuBose at that point. So it would be typically irrelevant evidence, and that's why I think the judge made the ruling she made.
There was one win, at least from the outside looking in, from my perspective, that the defense got today, and that is that the prosecution stipulated that the car was indeed moving when the shooting happened.
That's an interesting proposition, because when we think back on what the prosecutor said a year ago, he initially indicated that it was his belief that the car was not moving. There has to be a strategic reason why at this point they're willing to acknowledge some movement. As Deb said in her piece, it's going to be interesting to see what the experts have to say. As we were talking a few minutes ago, the difficulty with these body cams is there's so much movement that it really doesn't give you a very firm perspective of what's happening.
And the video that we're seeing here, this is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It is just herky-jerky, but it will be centered to this case, right?
Absolutely, and I think what's going to be of supreme importance is if they can determine when the shot was fired. If the shot was fired while Officer Tenzing, it does at least appear, had his arm in the vehicle, I think they might be in a much better position to argue that the shooting was justified. And it's going to be interesting to see what these experts are able to discern in terms of when the shot was actually fired, if they were still in contact with each other, or if it's one of these classic Saturday morning westerns where you shoot the bad guy as he's riding up the hill.
Yeah. Hal, thanks very much.
My pleasure.
We'll talk again as this court case goes forward. Local 12 News will bring you continuing coverage of the Ray Tenzing trial on the air and online. You'll be able to watch all of the trials streaming live at local12.com. We'll also have a page for all of the Tenzing coverage, so you can go to the news banner and click on the Tenzing trial, and you'll get updates anytime by linking Local 12's page on Facebook, or liking rather our Facebook page, or following us on Twitter.
At least